What did she do?
This old woman likes cutting other people's hair the most. She wraps the hair she cuts off around small tree branches. As long as she gently breaks off the branches wrapped with hair, she can easily control the people she wants to control. The unsuspecting principal fell for this trick, and thus killed people as if she had lost control. But the old woman's ambition obviously doesn't stop here. A few days ago, in Alta Town, Texas, USA, teacher Julie came to school to prepare for class as usual. But when Julie walked into the classroom, she found that among the 18 students in her class, only one boy was waiting in the classroom today. Julie contacted the children's parents immediately, but when the calls were connected, Julie learned an unlucky piece of news. The other 17 children had actually disappeared mysteriously. At the same time in the early hours of this morning, after discovering their children were missing, the parents called the police. The police who received the report also sent detectives to investigate immediately. According to the surveillance footage from the homes of the missing children, around 2:17 a.m., the 17 children left their homes at the same time. They ran towards the forest behind the town in a strange posture, as if they were summoned, and finally disappeared into the darkness. Based on the footage captured by surveillance cameras along the way, the police conducted a thorough search in the direction the children were running, but the detectives searched everywhere, even going deep into the forest behind the town, but still found nothing. The 17 children had mysteriously disappeared since then, like they had vanished into thin air. The police thought this might be a prank by the children, that they had agreed to run away together. They found the only boy who didn't go missing, hoping to find some clues. The boy, named Alex, was a child with autism, but Alex knew nothing, and hadn't heard the other children mention planning to leave together. The police, who had no clues, turned to head teacher Julie again. Julie carefully recalled the children's recent condition. Everyone was lively every day, and there wasn't anything abnormal or wrong. Because no clues were found for a long time, the emotional parents came to the school to demand an explanation. They believed that Julie had incited the children to leave the town during class, and then kidnapped them somewhere. Some parents even suspected that Julie was an evil, which, in the face of the parents' unrealistic speculations, Julie didn't choose to avoid it. She had a face-to-face talk with the parents. Julie expressed her deep apology for everything that had happened, and also understood that nothing she said could make up for it. In fact, she was just as eager as the parents to find out the answer, because Julie also loved those children. But in the face of Julie's explanation, some angry parents still didn't believe her. Seeing that, the situation at the scene was getting more and more chaotic, the principal had to interrupt the talk. Only under the escort of security guards did Julie leave the school, but Julie didn't know that these angry parents had already set their sights on her. When she got home, Julie wanted to have a drink to relax, but just as she had taken some ice cubes out of the refrigerator, the doorbell rang at the door. Julie thought it was a neighbor coming to visit, but when she went to the door, she found that there was no one outside at all. Julie thought she had misheard, and turned around to get ready to wash up, but at the moment she turned back, a loud bang came from the door.
What? Who's there?
Hearing the noise at the door, Julie, who could no longer bear it, took a stun gun out of the drawer. She went outside to see who was kicking the door, but when Julie came out, there wasn't anything there. Just as Julie was feeling frustrated, she turned around and saw that her car had been painted with red paint. It was obvious that it must have been done by those parents. The next morning, Julie found some cleaner and tried to clean it, but it was waterproof paint and couldn't be wiped off at all. To not be late for work, she had to drive the graffitied car to school, but when Julie arrived at school, she learned an unlucky piece of news from the principal. Considering the parents' emotions, the principal decided to let Julie take a leave of absence for a while, and resume work once the police provide further updates. As for Alex, he had already been transferred to another class. Julie wanted to fight for a chance to stay, but the principal told her to go back first. After leaving the school, Julie went to the police station. She reported what had happened at her home the previous night, hoping the police would find the person who had splashed the paint, but the detective only did a simple registration, and told her to go back and wait. Just then, Julie saw her friend Mark at the police station. The two went to a bar and had a few drinks. Dazed, Julie started complaining about her recent experiences. She thought those parents had really gone too far. The children's disappearance obviously had nothing to do with her, yet the parents shifted all the blame onto her. What was even more absurd was that some parents even called her a witch. In the face of Julie's complaints, Mark also looked helpless. It turned out that, because the police hadn't found any clues for a long time, the parents had also protested at the police station. Now the police were also under great pressure. After drinking, Mark also went to Julie's home to discuss the case in depth. The next morning, when Julie was seeing Mark off, she thought of Alex, the only child who hadn't gone missing. He had been acting a bit strange lately. Usually, Alex's father would come to school on time to pick him up and drop him off, but since last month, Alex's father had never shown up again. Julie wanted to talk to Alex, but Mark advised her not to. If she contacted the child rashly, it might attract the investigators' attention and bring other troubles. But Julie didn't follow Mark's advice. She went to the school and started following Alex. Julie found that after school, Alex didn't take the school bus. Instead, he walked home alone. She followed him all the way to the neighborhood where Alex lived. As soon as she reached the door, she saw Alex running home anxiously, and Alex's father's car was parked right at the door. Julie wanted to talk to Alex's father, but even though she knocked on the door for a long time, there was no movement inside the house. Just then, Julie noticed a strange sight. All the windows of Alex's house were covered with newspapers, but she clearly remembered that during her home visit last month, there were no such coverings on Alex's windows. Julie looked through a gap and saw Alex's parents sitting on the sofa in the living room. This sight made Julie feel a little uneasy. She contacted Mark immediately, hoping the police would come and check, but Mark blamed Julie for acting without permission. He told Julie to leave quickly and make sure the investigators didn't find her, otherwise, she would be regarded as a suspect. But Julie didn't leave. She staked out outside Alex's house, waiting for Alex's parents to come out, but she waited until late at night, and there was still no movement at Alex's house at all. Not even the lights were turned on. Tired, Julie fell asleep unconsciously, but Julie didn't notice that shortly after she fell asleep, the door of Alex's house was opened. A strange woman came out of the house. The woman walked to Julie's car and cut off her hair, but Julie, who was sound asleep, didn't notice a thing. On the second day after the children went missing, Tom, the father of the missing child Jenny, was at home watching the surveillance footage of his daughter's disappearance. The more he watched, the more he felt that his daughter's disappearance was full of strangeness, especially the posture his daughter had when she left home. He had never seen his daughter look like that before. Tom had seen a similar record in a book before. Some witches would use special witchcraft to control people. Once controlled by a witch, the controlled person's brain would lose consciousness and perform some abnormal actions. Tom suspected that his daughter might have been under witchcraft. He went to the police station, told the chief of his suspicion, and wanted the chief to conduct an in-depth investigation into Julie. It turned out that after his daughter went missing, Tom had already investigated Julie. He found that Julie had been dealt with by the police for drunk driving 2 years ago, and because of this incident, she was also fired from her previous school. But the police had already investigated Julie as soon as the children went missing. At that time, Julie hadn't left her home at all, and she had no motive for the crime. But Tom didn't believe it. He firmly believed that the children's disappearance must be related to Julie. At the school meeting in the evening, Tom talked about the possibility that Julie was a witch. Tom's words made the already anxious parents even more anxious. The scene immediately became a mess. The angry parents surrounded Julie, wanting her to hand over the children. Seeing the situation at the scene getting more and more chaotic, the principal had to end the meeting and let the security guards take Julie away from the school. But Tom still had no intention of letting Julie go. He followed Julie to her neighborhood to find out if Julie knew black magic. Tom deliberately pressed the doorbell and then ran away quickly. He was also the one who painted the graffiti on Julie's car. But Tom staked out at Julie's door all night and found nothing. Tired, Tom went back home, lay down on the bed, and fell asleep. At 2:17 a.m., he was suddenly woken up by a strange sound. Tom turned around and saw that his missing daughter had actually appeared in the hallway. Tom hurried to chase after her. As soon as he reached the door, he saw his daughter running out of the house. He went outside and saw his daughter running towards the lawn not far away. Tom quickened his pace to catch up with his daughter, but when he reached the side of the forest, he saw a bizarre scene. A house identical to his own appeared on the other side of the forest. His daughter ran into the house, and Tom followed her in. He found that not only was the layout of this house identical to his own, but even the furniture was the same. In the bedroom on the second floor, Tom saw his daughter sound asleep on the bed. He was so excited that he thought he had found his child. But just as Tom squatted down, his daughter on the bed suddenly turned into an old lady.
I love you so much.
It turned out that the previous scene was just a dream. Disappointed, Tom picked up his tools and prepared to go to work at the construction site. But just as he was about to go out, looking at the distant forest, Tom suddenly thought of something. He went back home and took out the town's floor plan. Tom drew the route his daughter took when she went missing on the map. Looking at the red line on the floor plan, Tom went to his friend Jack's house. Jack's child was also one of the 17 missing children. He pulled up the surveillance footage from Jack's house and found that the direction Charlie left when he went missing, and the direction his daughter took formed a perfect triangle. Although the directions the two children ran were different, they had an intersection point. Looking at the intersection point on the map, Tom thought there might be clues here. He packed the map and prepared to go check out that area. While Tom was on his way to Block 32, a strange old lady went to the principal's house. The old lady claimed to be Alex's great-aunt, Kate. Kate claimed that Alex's parents were seriously ill and needed someone to take care of them. Kate wanted Alex to drop out of school to stay at home and take care of his parents, but Alex was only 12 years old and completely unable to take care of the whole family. The principal naturally disagreed and told Kate to apply for community assistance. But just as the principal was explaining, Kate took out a small, thorny twig from her bag. She actually scratched her palm with the twig. Before the principal could figure out what was happening, Kate took out a bell from her pocket. With just a light shake, the principal was controlled. Kate broke the twig, and the controlled principal turned around and pounced on her boyfriend. She grabbed her boyfriend by the neck and squeezed hard. The poor boyfriend then lay motionless on the ground. Immediately after that, Kate took out a lock of hair from her backpack. This lock of hair was exactly the one she had cut off while Julie was sound asleep earlier. She wrapped the hair around a twig and then broke the twig again. The controlled principal rushed out of the house and ran wildly in one direction in a strange posture. On his way to the intersection area, Tom ran into Julie halfway. Because of his impulsiveness that night, Tom felt very sorry for Julie. He went to a gas station to apologize to her, but Julie thought Tom was coming to cause trouble. Just as the two were arguing and couldn't reach an agreement, Julie turned around and saw a bizarre scene.
Stop thinking of yourself.
Before Tom could react, the principal pounced on Julie and grabbed her by the neck. Tom hurriedly pushed the principal away, but he was no match for the principal at all. Instead, he was violently pinned to the ground. Taking this opportunity, Julie hid in the car, but as soon as she got in the car, the principal smashed the window with a punch. Julie was completely stunned with fear. She started the car to escape, but the principal chased closely behind her.
Come on, you piece of shit.
The police arrived at the scene immediately. Both injured Julie and Tom were sent to the hospital. Tom apologized to Julie for his previous actions. Although Julie wasn't a witch, Tom still believed his daughter had been cursed by black magic. He unfolded the map and told Julie about his findings. Tom believed that the children's disappearance must be the work of a witch pulling the strings behind the scenes. But when Julie saw the intersection point on the map, she froze. The intersection on the map was none other than Alex's house. Upon hearing Julie's words, Tom froze too. Could the children's disappearance be related to Alex? In the hope of finding clues, the two drove to Alex's neighborhood. As soon as they arrived, Julie saw Mark's police car parked in front of Alex's house. The reason Mark was here dates back to their meeting the other day, in the early morning of the second day, after the children went missing. Due to the disappearance case, rumors were everywhere in the town. To reassure the residents, the police chief ordered the detectives to patrol around the town. Halfway through the patrol, Mark spotted a sneaky man named George. Feeling something was wrong, Mark decided to chase after him to check. As soon as he reached the corner, Mark saw George prying open a window. When George saw the police, he panicked and ran into the alley behind him. But the town was so small, where could he run to? Before he had run 2 blocks, George was pinned down by Mark. But, during the search, Mark was accidentally pricked by a syringe in George's pocket. Angry, he punched George. But while treating the wound, Mark suddenly noticed the dashboard camera in his car. The camera had recorded the scene of him hitting George just now. If he was reported for this, he would be ruined. After calming down, Mark found George. He warned George that a major case had recently occurred in the town, and that George had better not come out causing trouble, otherwise, he would throw George in jail. After a brief lecture, Mark let George go. The next day, as Mark was about to go out on patrol, he saw George appear at the police station entrance. He thought George was here to file a complaint against him. Upon seeing Mark, George turned around and ran. But before he had run 2 blocks, he was pinned down by Mark again. Looking at the ferocious-looking Mark, George was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly explained that he wasn't there to complain, but to provide clues to the police. It turned out that George was a drug addict. To get money for drugs, he often stole things in the town. After being let go by Mark yesterday, George still had no intention of stopping. He wandered a few blocks and arrived at Alex's house. He saw that the windows of Alex's house were covered with newspapers. Thinking no one was home, he climbed in through a window via the drain pipe. But as soon as he got into the house, he saw 2 people sitting motionless in the living room.
I'm sorry.
Seeing that the two people didn't react, George thought they were just two dolls. Later, he rummaged around the house and stole a big bag of things, but just as he was about to leave, George accidentally discovered that there was a basement in the living room. He thought there was something in the basement, so he went in, but when he went downstairs, he was shocked by the scene in the basement.
Sorry!
George was shocked by the bizarre scene. He grabbed the stolen items and fled the house in a panic. He thought the children in the basement were also dolls, so he didn't pay them any mind. But George accidentally saw the missing person notices posted in a store. He recognized one of the children. This child was exactly the doll he had seen in the basement. Seeing the 50,000 yuan reward on the notice, George realized something was amiss. He went to the police station, wanting to tell the police what he had seen during the theft. But just as he reached the entrance of the police station, he ran into Mark. After hearing George's words, Mark remembered Julie's call. Could the children's disappearance really be related to Alex? To find out what was going on, Mark took George to Alex's house. He rang the doorbell, and surprisingly, someone came out of the house. Seeing Mark enter the house, George, who was still in the car, froze. He thought he must have made a mistake, but Mark stayed inside for a whole day. It wasn't until evening that he finally came out. George was about to complain about Mark's slowness in handling things, but Mark suddenly rushed toward the car and pulled him out. Shortly after George was dragged away, Julie and Tom arrived at the neighborhood. Looking at Mark's police car, Julie was just about to make a call to ask about the situation. When Mark walked out of the house, he waved at Julie, signaling for them to come over. Julie thought the police had found something. Puzzled, she and Tom walked in, but when they walked in, they found the house empty. Just as Julie was wondering, the crazed Mark suddenly jumped out from a corner. He grabbed Julie by the neck. Luckily, Julie reacted quickly and kicked Mark away with one foot. Tom was about to help when George also jumped out from a corner. Caught off guard, Tom was pinned to the ground by George. During the scuffle, Julie was forced into the kitchen by Mark. He grabbed her by the neck again. Just as Julie was about to suffocate, she spotted the gun at Mark's waist. Julie took the gun and pointed the muzzle at Mark's head. The unlucky Mark fell to the ground, breathless. Before Julie could catch her breath, Tom choked her from behind. Just as Julie panicked, Kate stepped out from a corner. It turned out, Kate was the one pulling the strings behind all this, and the reason she used black magic to control everyone dates back to a month ago. A month ago, under the pretense of going to the city for medical treatment, Kate stayed at Alex's house. At first, everything was normal, but on the third day after Kate moved in, something strange happened in the house. Alex's father, who usually picked him up from school on time every day, didn't show up. Alex thought his father was delayed by something, so he walked home alone. But when he got home, he found his parents sitting at the dining table, their expressions dull. Kate was sitting across from them, watching Alex. Kate warned him not to tell anyone about what she did at his house, otherwise, she would kill his parents. As she spoke, Kate took a small stick from her pocket and showed Alex the terror of her black magic. Seeing this, Alex had no choice but to give in. In the following days, Alex's daily routine was to go to class, finish school, and then go home to take care of his parents. Alex, who already had autism, became even more withdrawn. But this wasn't the most terrifying part. Kate had gone astray while practicing black magic, and needed to devour souls to cure herself, so she asked Alex to bring back some personal items of his classmates from school. She told him that if he did this well, she would spare his parents. Under Kate's coercion and temptation, Alex had to obey. While his classmates were having PE class, Alex went back to the classroom. He took the labels his classmates had stuck on their boxes. After getting the labels, Kate threw them into water and performed witchcraft. Kate shook a bell, and the controlled children ran out of their homes. They went to Alex's house, and were locked in the basement by Kate. But just as Kate was about to sacrifice the children, Julie appeared at the door. To prevent her plot from being exposed, Kate used black magic to control the principal, wanting him to kill Julie. But the principal not only failed to get rid of Julie, but also attracted Mark. To get rid of Julie completely, Kate then controlled Mark, leading to the series of events described above. Looking at the tender-skinned Julie, Kate was very satisfied, but Kate didn't notice that while she was dealing with Julie downstairs, Alex had gone to her room. He took the small twig in the middle of the room, and wrapped a lock of hair around it. It turned out that during the period he was being threatened, Alex had been secretly observing Kate. He had already learned Kate's black magic. Sensing that her own hair was wrapped around the twig, Kate had a bad premonition. But before she could respond, the children locked in the basement rushed out. Kate fled the house in a panic, but being old and frail, she couldn't outrun the children at all. Just as she ran to an intersection, she was tackled to the ground. The crazed children swarmed her and killed her. The moment Kate was killed, all the controlled people returned to normal. In the end, all the missing children were found and brought back. The above is the whole plot of the latest 2025 thriller blockbuster. Weapons. Overall, the quality of the movie is quite good. The ending, in particular, stands out, though some scenes can't be included in the video. Friends who like this movie can go watch the original film. If you like my channel, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.